talk about the way I went through my first house Profection year and what kind of things that you can really prepare, because first house Profection year could happen when you were in your 24 years old, or maybe when you were in your 12 years old, or even when you are in your, I don't know, like 30, 36 years old. So this video is for all of you guys, or even for some of you who are really wondering what's going to happen when you are in your um, first house Profection year. That would really be really insightful for you. So, okay. So, when we talk about the first house Profection year, it happens every 12 years, as other houses Profection years does. And you really need to know exactly what's your rising sign, but that's a whole another story and a whole another video for that. But if you're talking about the first house Profection years, the first house Profection year is more likely talking about your personality, about how you present yourself to the people around you. It can be about your physical body, the way you present yourself, anything that relates to outward appearance that could happen. It's about the personality that you have also, and many things related to first house themes as well. And you can really search it on Google about what is exactly the theme of first house itself, because that would be the main focus of you when you are in your first house Profection year. It goes the same with another house Profection year, so you really need to check out for that. But what I really mean by you really need to search and you really need to calculate what's your rising sign, it's because you would really understand that which planet that would be the best theme for you throughout the whole year. Well, for me, because my first house is ruled by the planet of Venus, so my chart ruler is ruled by Venus. So most of the time when I was in my first house Profection year, I was leaning into bettering myself in terms of my physical um, appearance at that time. Well, I was really losing several weights at that time. I present myself to the people around me truly different in terms of the way I look, the way I deliver myself. And people really saw that difference, because I used to be someone that was quite um, public. I mean, I was really active because I had my first house Profection year when I was having my offline classes. So for all of you guys were who are the class of 2020, or you begin your college when the COVID started, you pretty understand when once you had the offline classes, you kind of shift your approach in terms of learning and stuff like that. Well, at least for me. And consciously and unconsciously, I also shift myself at that time, because that was also the time when I was having my first house profession year, I became a totally different person. But I could really say that my personality when I was in my first house profession year was really me. And any change, any transformation that I experienced through the first house profession year is actually something that I really needed at that time. I needed to lose my weight at that time because I was having like any medical concern and it's been diagnosed by the medical doctor. So I really need to follow through it. Um, and then at that time, I was really searching for any kind of transformation in terms of the way I really want to present myself. I really want to be a more, I would say, quite formal, quite um, not formal actually, but more well dressed than before, more well put, if I could really say. And coming from that term, I do really understand now that my first house profession year brought a lot of things that I mentioned before. As I said previously, that you really need to check what's your rising sign. It really linked to the theme that you are about to experience, at least in my first house profession year. Because my first house is ruled by Venus at that time, besides I changed my personality, besides I changed about the way I look, it is also it was also supported by any Venusian themes. So at that time, I received a love. I had relationship at that time. And then what I realized is when I was in my profession year, any relationship that didn't deserve me would be vanished. And I don't know whether or not that's due to the strong influence of my chart ruler or the closeness of my chart ruler to Venus and any aspects to it. But I felt really protected in terms of my relationship department because there's some other aspect and also closeness to other planet that support that shield, that protections for me. So I would say my first house profession year was quite good to me because it taught me a lot about how I should really present myself, how I should really be honest about my personality, how certain delivery of my own personality can really affect how I received, how I attracted um, several relationship in the whole year. And when I said relationship, it wasn't limited to a romantic relationship, but also about the platonic relationship. And the concern at that time was not only about some like the positive aspect of the first house profession year ruled by Venus, but also another side of the first house profession year ruled by Venus in terms of like the flip side of it. Because I remember at that time when I was in my first house profession year, there was also an issue about the relationship, especially about the platonic relationship, the friendship that I had with friends around me, because I was quite frequent in terms of like changing my support system. I would say there was this one time where this genuine person just wanted to be friend with me without any ill intention or without any malevolent purpose that he brought to me. But a lot of his friends were quite cautious about him being my friends because there was some sort of like attribution that attached to me that wasn't really pleasant at that time. And I I was fortunate enough at that time that this person that befriended me, he he didn't get that much influence from his friends because he he talked to them like this, like your friend is not always my friend and my friend is not always your friends. I was quite surprised in a positive way because that was such a good response, because maybe other people who heard a bad attribution, a bad label about you, and then they still wanted to be a friend of yours because they just wanted to be a friend with you without having to think about what other people think about you is pretty much it's pretty much grandiose moment at that time for me. So if you guys are now or are about to or you are learning about what's happening with the first house profection year, I hope that you can really benefit from this house profession year. I hope that you really reshape yourself in terms of your personality, your outward appearance, and stuff like that, but in a positive way, in the way that you could benefit from that. And I do hope that you are searching whatever it is that would support your first house profession year, be it like what's your rising sign, where the time lord of it uh, located in your birth chart, because that would be like a really big theme for you. And I think that's all from me. I hope you're doing great. I hope we are all doing great, and I hope your first house perfection year would be really good for you. Until then, see you on my next video. Bye bye, and don't forget to follow my YouTube channel for another video about my perfection year and stuff like that. But anyway, bye guys.